Based on everything you just showed us, what does that structural trajectory tell you?
Yeah, OpenAI is a really funky example, and it's kind of hard to know what lessons to draw from it because it's such a singular and strange story. I mean, if you've read that giant New Yorker profile, Sam Altman, it's like mind-bending how complicated the whole thing has been. And obviously, there's big personality people involved. Elon and Sam, and is complicated. And OpenAI has been anything but stable. I mean, it's really, depending on how you count, like 2 or 3 crises that have almost ended the company. Like it's a recurring theme. But if you look at this diagram, OpenAI, for all of the attempts they made to protect the mission, it never had this structure. It only ever had one board. And I think that was a big mistake. Now, could they have known that all the crazy things that were going to happen were going to happen? No, I think they were caught very much by surprise. So I'm sympathetic, and I'm not here to throw stones. But I think it's really interesting that the number one lesson of OpenAI to me is that people think that governance means whatever it says on the piece of paper. So the board of OpenAI very naturally were like, look, it's our responsibility to hire and fire the CEO, right? We have that power. And in fact, Sam used to brag about that. If you look at his congressional testimony from before the crisis, he would say stuff like, the reason you can trust me is I'm accountable to a nonprofit board who can fire me anytime. But when they actually tried to fire him, they did it, by the way, in the middle of trying to close a tender offer that he had personally negotiated. So pro tip, maybe don't do that. But that created tremendous financial gravity that was aligned with Sam, because all the employees were about to make millions of dollars personally from this tender offer. Microsoft, their number one investor and their biggest supplier, was livid because they hadn't been given any kind of notice. And the other investors were all tied to Sam. He had raised all the money. So this confluence of events meant that although the board had power on paper, the actual power was held by the employees, the supplier, and the investors. That's not an uncommon situation. So part of the goal of studying governance, part of the reason why it creates career acceleration for people, whether they're founders or not, is governance gets you a seat at the big boy table. Okay? This is where the grown-ups meet to discuss the really consequential things. And governance is a study of power relationships.
I've been building a lot of AI products lately. My job search OS has 16 different agents. My newsletter has a recommendation engine, and I kept running into the same problem. I'd ship something, it would work in my testing, and then I'd get messages from users saying it's hallucinating or picking the wrong tool. The issue wasn't the prompts or the tools, it was that I wasn't actually evaluating anything. I didn't have a way to see what my agent was actually doing step by step. Every tool call, every decision. That's where a Ries comes in. Let me show you. I'm going to open Claude Code and install a Ries with just one command. npx skills, add a Ries AI, a Ries skills, skill yes. Now Claude Code already knows how to instrument my agent. I tell it set up tracing to a Ries, and it automatically analyzes my code base, figures out where the LLM and tool calls are, and adds instrumentation automatically. Now I can see everything, every trace, every span, every decision. And more importantly, I can evaluate it. That's the shift. Trace what's happening, evaluate where it fails, then fix it. This trace right here, my resume feedback agent was supposed to pull the company's tech stack from the job posting, but instead it hallucinated that they use React when the posting said Python. I never would have caught that without seeing the trace. And here's the part that blew my mind. I asked Claude Code to look at these traces and tell me what I should be evaluating. It came back with 4 eval criteria I hadn't written, things like picking the right tool and staying grounded in the input. I wrote the evals, ran them, and found that my agent was making the same kind of mistake about 12% of the time. Claude pushed to fix, I reran the evals, and it dropped to under 2%. That whole loop, trace, evaluate, fix, took me about 20 minutes, and now it runs automatically. If you're building AI products and not evaluating them, you're shipping blind. Try a Rise free at arise.com and get a year free, a $1,260 value with my bundle, Arise. Check it out. It's one of the top AI evals platforms used by all of the top AI teams for a reason. I hope you enjoyed that short clip. You can check out the full episode here.